Okay, good evening, everybody. We're going to go ahead and start the meeting for the January 11, 2018 Sacramento Metro Fire meeting. I'd like to call us to order, and we'll start with the pledge of the flag, if we could. Director Gould.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director Gould. The Metro Cable announcement is the open session meeting is videotaped for cablecast on Metro Cable 14. Replay on Saturday, January 13, 2018 at 4 p.m. and Sunday, January 14, 2018 at 12 noon on Channel 14. We're on a webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. The open session meetings are also available for viewing on the district website at www.metrofire.ca.gov. Right now, we're going to open up the opportunity for the public to speak on matters that are on or not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, do we have anybody?
There are no speakers this evening.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the consent items. Do we have any questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, I'll move the consent.
Second.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Director Gale.
Yes.
Gould.
Aye.
Orzali.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
And Barnes.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the presentation items. A peer recognition commendation, Chief Hine.
Yeah, good evening, President Barnes, directors, Chief Harms, Assistant Chief Randall Hine, Director of EMS. This evening, it's my honor to bring to you a field save that was submitted by one of our employees for outstanding performance. The details of this call are as follows. November 2nd, 2017, Metro Fire Medic 112 on the A shift, consisting of single-role paramedic Kevin Stewart and Alec Mudrick, arrived to find Metro Fire Engine 26 personnel on scene with a patient that was complaining of chest pain. They were alert and oriented, and it was a 55-year-old female sitting on her couch. The patient was complaining that she had just taken a walk. She was now experiencing chest pain that was moving down both arms. She stated that she had never had any cardiac issues before and that the pains began and she started having trouble breathing and felt like she was going to need to vomit. The crews recognized the patient did not appear as normal. She was pale, cool, and diaphoretic, and diagnostic evaluation showed that she had high blood pressure and a rapid heartbeat. Recognizing the seriousness of this, they placed her on a cardiac monitor and started treating her for a possible heart attack. The patient was then quickly loaded into Medic 112 for Code 3 transport. During that transport to the closest hospital, it was paramedic Alec Mudrick, behind the wheel while Kevin Stewart established an IV. Approximately 5 minutes into the transport, the patient began to complain of increasing dizziness, and she felt as her heartbeat was quickening. At that point, the patient became unresponsive and went into cardiac arrest. Paramedic Kevin Stewart immediately delivered a single shock of electricity through the cardiac monitor. After the shock, the patient woke up and was alert and oriented. For the balance of the transport, that same incident happened 5 more times. And Paramedic Stewart aggressively performed life-saving procedures again on those five incidents. The receiving hospital was contacted for their arrival. And more than importantly, they were able to assemble the cardiac team to be there to meet them for the patient's treatment. Upon arrival at the hospital, the patient was alert, oriented, and had a pulse thanks to the quick actions of the crew of Medic 112. She spent 2 days in ICU, total of 5 days in the hospital. She has been at home recovering since then and was just cleared today to go back to work on January 14th. So at this point, I'd like to call up Paramedic Stewart and Paramedic Mudrick and join Chief Harms as he presents a peer recognition commendation for exemplary patient care to the public we serve.
I'd just like to say congratulations, what a great job. But I do have one question. Who was driving, who was in the back? You were driving? So during that period of time, did you yell at him at all to drive faster? Did you? If you delivered 5 shocks somewhere along the way, I think you had to be able to communicate with him to drive faster. So thanks for driving fast and not crashing. And thank you for what you did for being able to recognize. I'm serious about that. Thanks for recognizing and being able to use your skills and save someone's life like that.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you very much, Chief Hine and Chief Harms. Any comments from the board? I just want to thank you for bringing the peer recognition. As we know, I always say where we sit here, that's our favorite part because it's a humble profession that you all work in and you really don't want to come up here and get those awards. But it's neat that the public gets to hear that the life-saving measures that you do and that person is around today because of your efforts. I understand when he says go faster, you're probably like it's in the floor and it's only as fast as it can go. So, but great work by both of you. Thank you very much for being here. Okay, moving on to action items. Emergency Medical Services Consultant, Mr. Fry.
Good evening, Directors, Chief Harms. For your consideration tonight, I have an agreement between the district and the Sacramento County Department of Airports. And quick background or context, if you will. Dale Carnes was selected as the airport chief, the fire chief, about a year ago or so. And during that time, Chief Carnes and Chief Harms were able to sit down and get to know each other, spend some time together, along with many of our other chiefs. And during that time, the airport chief identified a number of goals or objectives he wanted to accomplish in his time there at the airport. And one of those objectives that kind of rose to the surface was taking the airport department from basic life support certificate to advanced life support. And Chief Carnes thought we could help, reached out to Chief Harms, at which point in time the airport chief and Chief Hine began to sit down and talk about how we could help. During that time, those conversations went from kind of an informal, how do we help you get to where you want to go, to more of a formal process, recognizing there might be a formal relationship to be established. So during that meeting, Chief Hine invited me to be involved to what I would call scoping meetings to sit down and define what those services could be. And that conversation went from how does the airport get from BLS to ALS certificate to what I really need is administrative help to administer the EMS program at the airport. And luckily, we're set up very well to assist in that. So we were able to identify a number of objectives and figure out how that might work with Metro Fire in helping the airport achieve its goals. And the first area was with the Continuous Quality Improvement Program, CQI program, and the software that they use to administer that program, as I understand it, which is Image Trend. We're very familiar with the process. We have a very high-functioning way of dealing with that internally, and we thought it'd be really easy for us to include the airport in that process. I think this is going to be the focus in this year that the contract is going to run. This is really going to be the focus for us and for them. Reviewing the EPCRs, providing feedback as necessary, perhaps going out to the site and maybe shadowing or ride along with some of their crews out there to see if we can make suggestions on how to improve that process. The second area of opportunity is the administrative support for EMS training. And basically what this is, they have 29 or 30 members or so, not much administrative support out there. It's basically our administrative staff within the EMS department will track when certificates are set to expire and notify the corresponding BC out at the airport to say, 90 days on this member, 60 days, 30 days, and then track when those renewals will be required. The third objective would be new policies and procedures. This is basically set out to address new policies or EMS mandates, whether it's county, I believe it's county. We've already identified a couple of those. We are able to assist in setting up the training for them. I believe it's most of it done through computer, so our EMS captains can set up that training and allow the airport folks to take that training off-site. And then the fourth piece is what I originally alluded to. The end goal is ultimately they would like to upgrade to ALS. So we want to be able to provide those three supportive elements first, and if there's an opportunity to start addressing the ALS, we will. So that is essentially how the agreement is structured. One-year deal with a cost not to exceed $28,000. It's based on cost recovery for our time and effort. We will bill quarterly. And again, I just want to note that, of course, the EMS department has been very directly involved in this, but we've also had finance and legal review the agreement itself to make sure that this is doable. And then, of course, it meets our concerns from a legal perspective. We are able to address some of those issues. And probably most importantly, we don't think this is going to be an undue burden on the district. Our number one goal and responsibility is to provide the best service to our constituents, and we don't perceive this is going to be a stretch on those efforts at all. So with that said, Chief Hine or I will do our best to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Fry. Any questions or comments from the board?
Yes, I have a question.
Hold on. Director Gould first. Your hand came up, sir,
We have
please.
the
Director
airport-
Gale?
Yes,
Sorry,
we have
Director
an
Gould.
airport there.
Director
What
Gale.
about the executive airport? Is that service be included in the pact?
It is not. The focus here is mostly international airport. It may include Mather Airport, but as there is no airport fire on airport at executive, and any service that's provided, I believe, by the city. So anything at executive would be outside the scope of this agreement.
So exclusive there, nothing at the former McClellan Air Force Base?
McClellan, we are involved in, however, it's through a different agreement. We have a separate agreement between Metro Fire and,
Yeah, you know, the missions were quite different at a military setting than in a civilian setting.
absolutely.
And, well, in the past, they have been doing nothing. It's a vacancy there, and there's a need for something.
For EMS services specifically or for fire?
For both.
For EMS services, we would provide that as well. We serve what I would say both sides of the fence, the air side and the land side. We have a presence in both areas.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd remind directors, please wait to be called before your comments, but Director Gould, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chief Hine, any idea of what the annual call volume is out there?
As our latest statistics, they average about 2.5 calls a day.
2.5 calls a day. Do you have a breakdown of how many of those are ALS?
The, not a recent breakdown, but from
Generally.
recollection, it's probably about 50-50,
Okay.
much like we experience here in our own agency.
Okay, thank you.
Director Gould, any other comments or questions?
I wanted to thank the EMS division and our finance, legal, and chiefs, senior staff for reaching out and doing this. It's always good policy to partner with other agencies delivering these similar services. And I can only see good coming of this, where we pool all of our best resources together to continue to deliver high level of service. And we all know that that's going to just increase. Every few weeks, every couple months in the paper, we have upgoing stats for travelers at international. It's not going to go down. It's only going to get bigger. We're going to have perhaps some new airlines involved there. It's going to expand. So this is the time to get this type of training and expertise hooked together so that when it does continue to expand, all those needs are met. Thanks for your looking forward on this.
Mr. Chair, may I?
Yes, sir.
I was wondering, is Chief Metzger still out there?
No,
Either one.
Chief Metz has retired, and Dale Carnes has replaced him.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments, questions? If not, may I get a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we adopt staff recommendation authorizing the fire chief to execute this agreement.
May I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, for the vote.
Director Gale.
Yes.
Gould.
Aye.
Orzali. Jones.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
And Barnes.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Action item 2, we are going to hold off on and take action on that after closed session. So we will be moving on to reports. President's report, I do not have anything this evening. And moving on to the fire chief's report, Chief Harms.
Good evening, board members. It has been about a month since the last time we were together, and I think a lot of our focus during the holidays was around operations. And I think for a lot of you, got quite a few texts that our operations during that time was quite busy, and Chief Bridge is going to talk more about that. Along with operations, 2017 had a lot of deployments. And deployment-wise is, if you remember back in the end of the summer, we did some hurricane stuff. We did a lot of water deployments, and then a lot of wildfire deployments. I was talking to OES Director Ghilarducci, and now today, I think a lot of you have seen that they're dealing with mudslides. And he was just down there and talked that the pictures that you see don't do it justice of the damage. They're hoping that the rain is stopping for a little while and they can get ahead of it. But one of the issues that they're having is people won't leave. Is that they felt that they left during the wildfire. My house is still here, and now they're saying they don't want to leave. So a lot of activity going on again across the state. For the district, another thing that happened right at the end of the year was just a lot of retirements. We had engineer Pat Callahan with 25 years, engineer Don Martin, 26 years, and the topper was engineer Robert Judge, 43 years with the agencies and then with Metro Fire. And talked to him on his day out, and he, I think, was just as happy on his day out. It was the day that he came here. We had 2 fire inspectors. Michael McGee was 16 years, and Curtis Banks was 16 years. Then on the end of the month, on the 30th, Captain Bob Bruce, with 25 years. Captain Castro, 30 years. Engineer Ristal, 23 years. Ron Phillips, 22 years. One of that, a lot of you that have been around for a little while have seen a lot of is Michelle Cummings, left with 25 years. She refused to have a party or anything, so we all just went and stood in her cubicle and made sure that we were able to say goodbye to her as she left, and she said that was okay. Also, Captain Randy Bowes and CQI manager Rick Maloney, both of those guys had, or Randy had 31 years and Rick had 21 years with the district. We have a recruitment out right now for single roles. We had a new hiring of a fire mechanic of Steve Davison and an office technician of Brandy Freeman. The mechanics and the shops down there, we've had some promotions and some internal promotions, and so by bringing in a mechanic, we've been able to fill all their positions, and they're doing a wonderful job down there. A paramedic promotion of an SRP from EMT to paramedic. I'm not even going to attempt his first name, but his last name is Bubella. Was promoted. Very good young member coming in, and then 2 captains, Captain Christopher Aiello and Danny Martinez, both were promoted to captain. I think we have one more position on there, and that will expire that list for us. After the first of the year here, just a lot of meetings, figuring out what we did in 17 and where we're going in 18. I would like to welcome the Vice President of 522, Trevor Jameson, has come to staff and started last week, and so it's good to have 522 back in the building, working with us day in and day out. That ends my report, unless you have any questions.
I guess, how about if I try that? Any questions or comments for Chief Harms? All right, thank you. Moving on to operations report, Chief Bridge.
Okay. President Barnes, board members, Eric Bridge, Operations Chief. We've been busy since the last board meeting, so I could be up here a while, but I want to summarize what we've been doing for the last approximately 30 days since, was that December 14th, I think was our last meeting. Since that time, we've had about 8,000 calls for service. And then during that, of which over 6,100 of those were EMS calls. We transported those about 66% of the time, and our partners at AMR assisted about 700 of those calls as well. In addition to all those EMS calls, we had 24 working structure fires. We've been dispatched to probably twice that amount, but it's an extraordinary high number of calls were actually working fires. Two of those were fairly noticeable or notable that I'd like to read, to thank Chief Wagaman for a brief summary he provided so I can report out to you a little bit about what we did and what we saw on those fires. And I'll start with the first one, was the Lincoln Village fire. On December 28th of last year, Metro Fire units responded to a reported building fire in Rancho Cordova at the Lincoln Village Drive and Bradshaw Road just before 1 o'clock in the morning. Units arrived to heavy fire from the first and second floor of a two-story, non-sprinklered office building. A second and third alarm were subsequently called to assist in the firefight. Crews were successful in stopping the fire from extending to two additional two-story office buildings, which were attached to the main fire building. Crews remained on scene, dousing hotspots for approximately 22 hours after the initial call. The cause of the fire has not yet been determined. Crews did really well, good job on that one too. I mean, went to 3 alarms, so our partners, the Sacramento City Fire Department, also attended and assisted us with that firefight. More recently, on the morning of January 8th, we had a fire at the Mercedes-Benz dealership. A Sacramento County Sheriff's deputy observed flames on the inside of the Mercedes-Benz dealership at Howe Avenue and Alta Arden Expressway at 12:20 in the morning. The building was non-sprinklered and did not have a fire alarm. The first due company arrived to heavy smoke and fire from the front doors of the dealership's showroom floor. A second alarm was immediately requested. The fire was quickly knocked down with the first hose line before flames could extend to the second floor, stopping additional property loss. Our arson investigators are working closely with the insurance company's investigator to determine the exact cause of the fire. So that's where we're at, and we're continuing. Members out there are doing a fantastic job and did a fantastic job on that fire. Again, that was, many of our units were there also with Sacramento City Fire Department. So we continue to work really well with the city, and all members from both agencies do fantastic work for us. And fortunately, we did not have any injuries to any of those, and so that's always a positive. So that's what I have to report for now, and next board meeting I'll be able to provide you with more of a summary of what we did in 2017. So that will be exciting. That'll be a much more exciting report. Anything, questions I could answer for you?
Thank you, Chief Bridge. Director Gill, go ahead.
At the Daimler building, you mentioned a non-sprinkler building. Isn't that a violation of the code or something? It's terrible business to have such an expensive operation there without sprinklers?
Yeah, I would like to defer my fire sprinklers questions to the fire marshal, but I could tell you that Mercedes-Benz dealership, I believe it was built in the 60s.
Yeah.
And which time sprinklers were not required.
Yeah. But it's out of code now, or?
No, I wouldn't be able to answer their code parts, but I could let Chief Johnson, who's been working closely with the Mercedes-Benz dealers owners, and so if you'd like to, I could let him speak to that part of it.
Good evening, directors, Chief Arms. The Mercedes-Benz dealership was built in 1969. At that time, fire sprinklers were not required, nor was a fire alarm system. Since then, they've remodeled that building several times, including the last in 2011. However, remodeling doesn't trigger that. You're talking about a completely different change in use, so they'd have to go from auto dealership to, say, an assembly type of a structure in order for that to trigger sprinklers to be installed. So
Whether that was a fun housing building at that time or what, you know?
it was still zoned for the same exact use, and so they're using for automotive, and so as long as it's still in that same use category, no sprinklers would be required.
Strange law. Very strange.
Thank you,
Yeah, and
Brandon.
I could assure you that, that fire with sprinklers, any of these type of fires where these buildings had sprinkler systems in them, it would, the damage would have been significantly reduced.
Of course, I would think so. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you, Director Gale. Thank you, Chief Bridge. Any other comments from the board?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to firefighter local 522 report. Mr. Jameson, thank you for being here.
President Barnes, directors, Chief Harms, Trevor Jameson, Local 522 Metro Vice President. Great to be here tonight. Happy New Year. Haven't seen you guys since last year. It's amazing what I get to do and represent the members who are day in, day out, delivering great service, helping the community. But what really sets us apart, I think, is when one of our own members gets hurt. And I know many of you you're aware that one of our members was injured very significantly and off duty. It's astonishing how bad he was hurt that night and how long it took him. And I don't know if anyone heard the backstory about how many people came to his aid. There was other firefighters in El Dorado County that helped him. But it was what was really comforting as the 522 vice president was that I got a text almost immediately once our guys were aware. I was able to go to the hospital that night, help assist him, help assist his family coming in. 522 stepped up, Metro Fire stepped up. One of Chief Neville, who was the shift AC, was there to meet him. EMS 24, Shanny Cornell was there to meet him. And it's a great thing to be part of. And it's a great thing for me to represent the membership who steps up for the membership. He has a long road ahead of him, and we're there to support him. But I also want to reach out and say thank you to all of you who reached out to me and him and visited him or assisted him. It's very proud for me to be able to say that to you, and I appreciate that the way you represent yourselves to our members as well. So thank you for that. I will have hopefully updates with him as he go forward. He does have a long road ahead of him. He just had a surgery, his first surgery of many. So thanks again. On some other things, I do appreciate where we're at right now. We have a lot of cooperation. I've been very nice. I'm on day staff now, so it's going to be new for me. I'm coming out of the firehouse, so I'm adjusting. But I have a good relationship right now and working with the day staff and trying to accomplish things for 522 and Metro Fire. One of the things coming up that Chief Harms and I just shot a video on was the Saudi firefighters who are going to be starting here next week. I think it's pretty amazing the way we can come together as a group. IAFF 522, the IFC, Metro Fire, to deliver this program to this international group and make it in a way that is very cooperative. And we've already heard back from Battalion Chief Chris Green how the IFC is very impressed with how we have worked together and cooperate. So you're representing an organization that is working together to deliver something that other people haven't done yet. The way they've delivered it, they have done this program, but it's done in a way that is very professional and cooperative, and it was made evident to us that the cooperation that we're exhibiting is very appreciative. So again, something's coming up. Our members have stepped up. They're offering to help. There have been so many of our members who have signed up to assist with this program. They've had they don't want to tell anyone no, but they're trying to work in enough time so everybody can help, which is a great problem to have. So again, I just want to reiterate that our membership is working hard every day for the people you represent. And again, we appreciate your support with our member, and we look forward to more in the future. And I know we'll be meeting more and talking more in the future. So thank you very much. Thank you for your time tonight. Any questions for me?
Thank you, Mr. James. Any questions or comments? No. I too want to echo what you say. It's a unique industry when you're in public safety and you serve, and when there's a call for help, whether it's on or off the job, how people circle the wagons and help them out. So thank you for you and 522 to be there for them. Because it's not on the job, there's always those questions of what's next, and for you to be there every step of the way, the command staff, so thank you for being there as well.
Thank you.
Moving on to committee and delegate reports. The executive committee met this evening. There were two changes, one to the finance committee where Director Ted Wood has been voted in as the vice chair. The change to the California Fire Rescue JPA, Deputy Chief Shannon was voted in as the delegate, and Director Matt Kelly as the alternate. All other delegate and committees will remain the same at this point. Moving on to the Communication Center, JPA, Chief Johnson.
Good evening, Directors, Chief Harms. Comm Center JPA has not met since your last meeting. However, a few announcements. Teresa Murray's last day was today. She left the building gracefully at 5 p.m. tonight. Her retirement celebration will be January 19th, next Friday at 6:30 p.m., and I can get that information if you'd like that. The Comm Center ran about 205,000 calls last year. That's a new record for the Comm Center, so it's right on par with a 5 to 8% increase year to year. End of report.
Thank you, Chief Johnson. Any comments or questions? Moving on to the California Fire and Rescue Training, JPA, Director Kelly.
Yes, the JPA has not met since I last reported out. We will meet again on Thursday of next week, the 18th, and I will report out the following Thursday.
Thank you very much. Finance and Audit Committee, Director Kelly, you're up again.
The Finance and Audit Committee will meet again on January 25th, and we'll have a report then.
Thank you very much. Policy Committee, Director Gould.
No report.
Thank you very much. We'll be going into closed session, but before that, we'll do board member questions and comments. Starting, if I could, to my right, Director Gale.
Let me pass and let someone go. I had something down I wanted to bring up, but I haven't got it on my tongue at the moment.
Okay, so we'll come back to you in the end. Yes, sir. All right, Director Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to say thank you to all the men and women who retired. It must be a couple hundred years of service that we've institutionally lost. And so thank you to all of those men and women who served so valiantly, and we're grateful for them. And obviously they become they set the standard for the new folks that will fill those roles in the coming days. And congratulations to all of our staff who have been promoted, and that's a wonderful thing in their career, so good for them. And then just simply continue to do such an awesome job. You guys are great. Thanks.
Thank you, Director Gould. Director Rosali.
I have no report for this evening.
Thank you, sir. Director Wood.
Echo what Director Gould said, and I just want to thank the chief for keeping us informed like you do. Appreciate all of the updates that we got throughout this busy season. So thank you.
Very good, thank you. And Director Kelly.
Don't have much to add. Appreciate all the other comments, and again, fine job. Thank you.
Very good. Director Gale, you ready yet?
Yeah, I was thinking, the one with the international connection we had with the Saudis, I think, for fighting for something, what some of the benefits that we would gain out of that relation with the Saudis?
So the International Association of Fire Chiefs approached Metro Fire and asked us to be involved as a leader and take on what is the 8th cohort and build the relationships that we have. So for us personally, what it does is they provide some training for us. There's some leadership classes that are provided for the district. There is a strong relationship that is being built between Metro Fire and the International Association of Fire Chiefs. Some of those things are stuff that maybe you can't put your finger on, but today we were invited, 2 of our members were invited to participate in basically it's a nationally recognized program on fire behavior. And sometimes those connections are because you are involved and because you are connected with a larger agency. Metro Fire is recognized. They recognize the work that we do. They searched us out and asked us to be involved. The program is cost neutral. And probably one of the things that I've seen is that the membership, we put it out there. As Trevor said, we sat down and did a video and did some stuff to the membership. And it has been we didn't have to tell people to do it. People have stepped up. And young members have stepped up and said that they wanted to be involved. And also during the period that here, we will have a 4th firefighter on those engine companies. So it provides us staffing. They're fully trained firefighters.
I remember as a kid, and well, not too long ago, there was a guy from Texas, I don't know if you remember his name, Red Adair. was the best in the world, especially for oil wells and gas wells and what have you. Is Red Adair still around, or is his company still operative? He was the best in the world.
His company's still out there, but I don't know if he is still alive or not.
It happened. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Director Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, reiterating other comments, congratulations on the retirements, the promotions, and thank you for the texting, for the updates on all the emergency calls that we've had over the holidays. And special congratulations to our two paramedics for the field save. Thanks, guys. Well done. Thank you very much. And I'd also, again, like to reiterate how very proud I am that Metro is associated not only at the local level, but also the international level. I don't know how much 360 participation you can get between the local and international levels. So thank you, Chief. Well done to you, your staff, and every member of the department that helps contribute to each of those levels.
Thank you, Director Jones. For me tonight, echoing all the comments that have already been said, the one thing we have coming up here in a couple weeks, near and dear to my heart, is a nonprofit Pig Bowl Guns and Hoses football game, January 27th, Sacramento State. The great thing is we're going to be honoring the fallen, not only on the law enforcement side, but the firefighter side. Unfortunately, we are going to be honoring 3 firefighters, Timothy Anderson from Sac City Airport, Trent Lindholt, who's still alive, but he has a long fight ahead of him, up from Auburn Fire, and Corey Iverson from Cal Fire, who succumbed to those injuries down at the Thomas Fire. So I encourage everybody to come down. Again, it's a nonprofit fundraiser. We have a great time. It's a great football game. It's competitive. I always stay neutral until game day. But all the money goes to local charities. The big one on the fire side is Firefighter Burn Institute, and we love partnering with them. So I encourage everybody to get out. It's a great event. We have a kids' safety zone where we're doing law enforcement and fire safety. It's a great time. So again, I thank everybody for everything they've done, the life-saving, well done. I know you may think that's just doing the job, but to those family members, you did more than that. So thank you very much for tonight, and thank you for sticking around. With that,
Sac State again?
yes, sir, January 27th, 1 p.m. Kids Safety Zone starts at 11. It's a great time. So that's all I have. We will recess into closed session. We'll be coming back out. Everybody that's sitting here, I'm hoping, no offense, but not to see you when we come out. Go home to your families. Thank you very much.
Is it appropriate that the president of our...
Okay, we'll call the open session back to order. If we can have a report out from council. John?
Yes, thank you. The board met in closed session tonight with respect to item number 1 on the agenda, the government code section 910 claim filed by Town and Country West et al. The board voted unanimously to reject that claim. With respect to item number 2, the board met in closed session for conference with legal counsel. No action was taken.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion, we adopt staff recommendation on the disability retirement of Robert Bruce.
Thank you.
Second.
First and a second. Madam Clerk?
Director Gale.
Yes.
Gould.
Aye.
Orzali.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
And Barnes.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much, and that'll conclude this evening's meeting. The next board meeting will be January 25th, 2018 at 6 p.m. right here. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.